Kia ora koutou. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 37 of Only a Podcast. Say hello, Captain.
Hello, Captain.
You all right?
Kia ora whānau. Yeah, we're all good. It's all good. We've got another packed episode, I think.
Yeah.
I think we have.
Overpacked, I would say.
Overpacked. We'll have to see if we can fit it all in. So, if I Akine, coming up next,
Nice.
you've got books, breathing and blood pressure, lots of things beginning with B.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think, but I'll find out in a minute.
Yeah.
The first in our high watermark series, it says here. Well, there you go. Farewell to a much-loved TV programme. And from me, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. God, that's hyperbole, isn't it? But there you go. And a new album that I've been listening to, and we'll see how we go. There might even be more than that, but I think we've got enough to be getting on with, so I'm going to tell you to get on with it.
All right, I'll get on with it. Firstly, I know you've been thinking or wondering about my blood pressure, haven't you?
Now that you've been mentioning it,
My blood pressure's been a bit on the high side for a while now. Sort of 140-ish plus, which is just in the high range there. So it's been that way for quite some time. Never really moved. Yeah, well, I was at my doc's last week, and we did my blood pressure. And he put the thing on and he started doing the thing. And he went, wow. I said, well, 114 over something or other. Way down into the normal range, really. He said, well, nothing's changed. What's going on?
What have you done?
I said to him, you remember last time I was here a few months ago, we were chatting about books, because I like reading health books, as you might have gathered from this, books about the body and whatnot. I said I was reading a book called Breath by James Nestor, all about breathing, and the breathing techniques. The guy that wrote that book says it will bring your blood pressure down without a doubt. So, I said to the doc, I said I've been doing his techniques every night just before I go to bed. I just do a minute or two of this breathing exercise, and I'm just trying to breathe properly, as recommended. And he said, I've read that book. He said, and I recommend those techniques to all sorts of patients, PTSD patients and all sorts of things. Well, it looks like it's brought my blood pressure down considerably.
Just by breathing properly.
So, if you don't want to read the book, drop us a line and I'll give you what the techniques are, because it's nothing much to it. But in a nutshell, breathe less. Right. So always breathe through your nose, breathe less. The optimum apparently is 5.5 breaths a minute. So you breathe in for 5.5 seconds, you breathe out for 5.5 seconds, and that works out to 5.5 breaths a minute. So 5 or 6 seconds, always through the nose. And then there's some other things which I won't waste time on now. But my blood pressure's normal now, so I've been eating a lot of crisps.
to get it back up again.
To get my salt levels up again.
Bags of crisps.
Yeah, I'll be buried with a bag of Doritos. Don't worry about that. That's one of my Bs. What other Bs? Beatles. Did I say Beatles?
No, we generally put something in anyway. So,
there's a new Beatles song, right?
New song. I'm
a bit tired of the whole thing. I read the article. It's just a bit tiresome now. I wonder if it's all a bit cynical from Paul McCartney, because he got a new book out. I think he has.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. So Paul was given some cassettes by Yoko Ono some time ago, right? And it was just demos of John just singing into a cassette recorder at home. And they've used the AI that was used for Get Back to isolate the vocal. And apparently they've built a song around it that's going to be released later this year, I think. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, a bit over all that.
They're just a ploy to make us buy Revolution in the Head again when they add this final song into the book.
Yeah, a new version.
We have to go out and get another one. I mean, didn't George say that this was a lot of old crap?
Yeah, at the time, he's crap. I'm not playing all that. Yeah, but George was in another place at that time, I suppose. But we'll wait and see what happens with that.
I'd quite like to hear them clean up that school concert one they found quite a while ago.
Yeah, I still haven't had a listen to that.
Just from a tidying it up point of view.
They will. They'll give it to you.
It was them, and it's legit. So I would be quite interested
to hear it. Yeah, get Giles onto it. He'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Books. Right, I'm going to recommend to you 4 books that I haven't read. But I'm going to recommend you think about reading them. Okay, because I'm going to. Okay, so one of my favourite podcasts is called Word in Your Ear. I've mentioned it on here before.
Yeah.
And every year they do a live show called Word in the Park or something. They have guests on and they interview them, and that gets put out as various episodes of the show. So they just did that. So 3 people they had on. One was Leslie Ann Jones, the writer, journalist type person, who's just written a book about the Rolling Stones, the Stone Age.
You did tell me to look at that, but I haven't done it yet.
And it's all about. Well, she had some real stories to tell. It's a bit. It's about their private life more than anything. It's not really a music book, but it's about how the women got shared around between them. And Keith was the big prize. He was the one all the women wanted.
Yeah.
And how Brian Jones had this weird complex of all the women he was with looked exactly like him. Mick was a bit the same as well, and it's some psychology going on there. It sounds interesting. Then they had Bob Stanley on to talk about his Bee Gees book. I think we might have mentioned that before, but that sounds really, anything Bob Stanley does is good, right?
I have ordered it from the library.
Yeah. So
we shall see.
Yeah, that's going to be a belter. And then John Higgs, who I don't really know, has done a book called Love and Let Die. And it's the relationship between the Beatles and James Bond, or because the first Beatles song and the first Bond film were released on the same day. And there's kind of a few crossovers between them. So he was interviewed about that book. That sounds quite interesting as well. I probably wouldn't buy it, but I'd get it out of the library.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in hearing the interviews with these authors, they were really good. So the Word in Your Ear podcast, they don't number the episodes, but it was the one on June the 8th, June the 11th and June the 15th, 3 separate episodes for those 3 interviews. So have a listen to them if you get a minute. I
did, in fact, listen to the Stones one. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff, eh? So that's
good.
It's
good. Yeah.
Different point of view. So, and the last one, I'll let you talk. There's a new Nick Drake book, biog, coming out. I don't know if you've heard about this, by Richard Morton Jacks. He's written a few books. I think he did a Led Zeppelin one. He's a sort of Mojo journalist, someone like that, a music writer guy. Anyway, he's done a new book about Nick Drake, a very hefty tome apparently, but he's been given access to documents by the family, by his sister, Gabrielle, giving access to documents and photos, letters and stuff like that. And they've also talked with friends and family and collaborators of Nick Drake's over the years. And it sounds like it's going to be a really fascinating read if you're into Nick Drake. It's a fascinating story overall, isn't it?
Definitely.
So 4 books there that I'm recommending that I haven't read.
Great.
And I'll take a breath. You can change the song.
Okay.
6 times, 5.5 times a minute. Yeah.
Right. Okay. As I said on social media, I don't think we should shill for Netflix too much. I mean, they're doing well enough on their own. But I was talking with Country Steve on Twitter, and he had been watching the Tour de France documentary, Unchained, on Netflix. I kind of always used to watch it when we were in the UK, when it was on Channel 4. And I enjoyed the scenery of France, probably more than the cycling, to be honest. I wasn't that into, not deeply into it. But I have to say, having watched this, it dragged in the rest of the house to watch it as well, because it's a superbly organised piece of drama, as well as a documentary about what happened in last year's Tour de France. And I would say, right ahead, straight away, do not Google last year's Tour de France before you watch it. Yeah. But it's just brilliant. The array of characters that they show in it, the individual cyclists, how the whole thing works, really, in terms of can you be selfish? Can you be a team man? Are you an absolute genius at everything, or are you just a sprinter or a mountain climber or all that kind of thing? So there's a few examples of the cyclists that are in it. A guy called Fabio Jakobsen, who's a sprinter, Then he had a massive accident in 2020 when he was elbowed into the fence by a guy called Dylan Groenewegen. He was banned for 9 months for doing that. So can Fabio come back and still sprint and win a stage? Another sprinter called Jasper Disaster Philipsen. It's a nickname he's desperate to get rid of. And I won't go into too much about this, but is his nickname unfair? And can he win a stage as well? His team manager is like, oh no, we've got to get rid of this and stop calling him that. There's a couple of true contenders, Jonas Vingegaard, who's won, and Ruud van Aert, who's a Dutch guy. They're on the same team. And Jonas is really good, and Ruud is really good as well. And it's like, who's going to go for the general classification? Who's going to go for the yellow jersey, and who isn't? Who's going to help each other out? Yep. Can you help him today, Ruud? Well, I'm not really sure I want to, because I think it's like politics.
Yeah.
In the British team, Ineos, there's Geraint Thomas, who's won it before. Mm-hmm. He's coming to the end of his career, but can he still get on the podium? Is he still good enough? And as a young lad, this episode is just mind-blowing. A young lad called Tom Pidcock, who's an Olympic gold medalist mountain biker. And all I should say about that is the man has no fear at all.
That's mountain bikers for you, yeah.
As you would expect. And seeing him go downhill in the Tour de France is quite something. And if you only watch one episode, that's the one. Holy moly!
Yeah.
Outpacing cars and stuff. It's like, Jesus, unbelievable. Anyway, there's more. Yeah. But the interesting thing is that probably the best cyclist in the world, certainly one of them, Tadej Pogačar. He's in it, but he isn't featured. So he's kind of like the looming menace that they all have to.
Right.
They will have to face up to.
Yeah.
He doesn't get any vox pops in it or whatever you call it, not interviewed particularly, but he's there and he's competing with them, with the lead guys. It's just great. It all unfolds. They start in Denmark, they end in Paris. Drama every day, and just great.
It sounds very much like the Formula One thing, the same same formula, if you like. Yeah, sounds very much like that. Yeah, it's great stuff. Big drama.
They're all, and they're all. I don't know how they do it. They're all whippets. They're all, there isn't one with giant legs or anything like that. They're all as thin as rakes.
Yeah.
But it must be a very specialised form of fitness.
Yeah, I'd say.
Because do they go uphill quickly? Yes, they do. Absurdly quickly. Anyway, enough
Good
of my
one.
yakking.
Good one.
Do watch it if you've got Netflix, folks.
Yeah.
And you might not think cycling is your thing, but the drama just overtakes you. It's really good.
Oh yeah, good recommendation. Yeah, I have watched a bit of the Formula One as well, but I'm about 5 years behind on that. So yeah, but good stuff. We had we talked about doing a new feature called High Watermark a while ago, where we pick an artist, be it a musician or an actor or whatever, and we talk about their best bit. They never did better than that, really. It was the top of their game. So I thought I'd do one for this episode, and we've also had sort of accidentally we've had one come in from one of the fans as well. So we'll do that one first. That was Craig, a friend of the show. Hello, Craig.
Yeah.
He was talking about. I tweeted something, and he responded by talking about REM's Automatic for the People and how it was, a masterpiece and all that. So I said, so you're saying this is their high watermark? And he kind of said, well, yeah, I suppose it is. So he thinks Automatic for the People was top of the game REM. A lot of people would disagree with that.
Yeah.
Don't know. It's tough, that, because they went through they were a different band from the early days to the, Monster onwards. And the bit in the middle, they're a pop band in between. So, they went through phases, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, I could make a case for Document being the high watermark, but as you say, the incredible popularity post Document meant that those albums were tinged with heaven forbid, popular music.
Yeah. But
it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. We could argue all day about it. There is a poll going on run by Ian Crawford on Twitter at the moment about of REM. A poll to find the top REM song, which is quite interesting. And I'm watching that with interest. And that's a little bit of a battle between, oh God, we can't vote for Shiny Happy People again, and all the true fans going Texarkana or Cuyahoga or something like that is by far the greatest song they've ever done.
How do you choose?
It would be interesting to see how it pans out. Yeah, but how do you choose?
And why do you choose? But these are
hundreds of songs.
Sort of things we used to do in the pub back in the old days. We do them on Twitter now, don't we? But there you go. So anyway, I thought I'd do a high water mark. So I started with Blur.
Go on then.
Okay, another B for you there.
Yeah.
Blur. So my high water mark for nomination, if you like, for Blur is their eponymously titled album, Blur.
There you go. Cool.
They set their stall out early doors with, the first two albums. Modern Life is Rubbish especially set the scene for Park Life, laid the foundations for Park Life. And we all know about Park Life, of course. That was its era defining, you might say, along with Oasis and people like that. And then they had a little dip after that, maybe, some might say, with The Great Escape. And then they came back with the album Blur. All killer, no filler. I mean, you start off with Beetle Bum. Song 2 obviously became bigger than the band ever were. Country Sad Ballad Man, On Your Own, You're So Great. All killer, no filler, that album. I could have gone for the next album, 13, which was probably the height of their creativity. But no, for me, that's the high water mark for Blur. I don't think they ever did better than that before or after. Chip in, folks, if you disagree.
I probably wouldn't disagree too much. They say that probably the one I play most these days is Modern Life is Rubbish. Excuse me. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I have been watching a bit of the 2009 Knuckles Left Front DVD because that always gets me. Is especially the emotional bits at the end when Damon Albarn is stricken by the love, the waves of love coming off the audience, and it does make the old bottom lip tremble a little bit.
Yeah,
it's really
good. I've seen Blur live. Oh God, probably 10 times, I reckon. It's always an incredible experience. I've seen him in small venues, huge venues. Yeah, it's always great. So there we go. So that's my high water mark. If you've got any you'd like to suggest, folks, it doesn't have to be albums or music. It could be actors, films, books, anything like that. Anything you like.
You want.
Yeah.
But next time around, I think, because that book I was waiting for has arrived now. I'm going to be doing a complete works. We haven't done one of those yet. But I'm going to be doing one, and I'll save it. It is a writer, and I shall save it for next time.
Ooh, how exciting!
Yes.
Good one.
So, shall I tell you about a new album I've been listening to?
Yeah, I reckon
you
should.
do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Bettye LaVette.
Right.
Not a name most people would have heard of, probably. I first discovered her on one of those old cassette compilations you used to get from the NME.
C86.
This was 82, in fact, called Pocket Jukebox. It was compiled by Roy Carr, and it's sort of R&B and blues and rockabilly and stuff like that. And on it was a track from Bettye LaVette called Let Me Down Easy, which is probably her most famous. That's not the word to use, really. But it's a really good deep soul track. Anywho, she is 77 now, these days, as it were.
Yeah.
And she's released a new album called LaVette. And as these things often are, they are stuffed with special guests. Not too much in this case, I have to say, because it's mostly about her voice. But she does have Steve Winwood and John Mayer and Pino Palladino.
Decent, yeah.
Doing a bit of guesting on various things. It's produced by Steve Jordan, who is the Rolling Stones' current drummer and who's worked with bazillions of people. Neil Young springs to mind. And it's a soul blues album, and her voice is great. And it's, if you like that sort of thing, listen to it. I've been listening to it a lot, on repeat, in fact. A quality performance by all concerned, really. Just great, sort of late period. She still got it, as it were.
Great stuff, yeah. Give that
really
a go.
good.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Cool.
I want to say goodbye to a TV show that has just been pulled off the air after 25 years it's been on. It's got you thinking, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Soccer AM. Remember that?
Ah, yeah.
Did you know it was still on?
Yeah.
Well, it's not anymore. It's just had its
No,
last episode.
I did know it was still on. And the reason I did was because I would get occasional snippets on YouTube of the fans. Oh no, what's it called? What was the one called? Pro-Am, where they would get their guests and such like to complete various footballing tasks.
That's right. Yeah.
Against the clock.
It was. It was early 2000s. I think it started in the 90s, but early 2000s. The Tim Lovejoy, Helen Chamberlain period.
Yeah,
it was just must-see TV. That was the one show I would never miss. It was an institution. For those that don't know, Soccer AM was a Saturday morning football-based show on Sky Sports. How would you describe it? Like a
magazine,
a magazine show, like the One Show or Seven Sharp, if you like. But all about football and all. Lots of comedy going on, and it was a bit of a cult classic, wasn't it? And they had all these regular features. I wrote some down here. The Nutmeg Files. I still say nuts to this day when someone does a nutmeg. Nuts. Taxi. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And Third Eye, which was where they would spot things in the crowd, or the people would send in things they'd spotted in the crowd, or something that they weren't meant to see. And they had the Soccerettes, of course. They always had a lovely young female on there.
Slightly sketchy.
Yeah.
But even in those day and age, but that day and age, but anyway, they got rid of that.
They did. And then Topless Weather. Remember Topless Weather?
Yes, with Joe.
Yeah. So it was a bloke. Light drizzle.
Light drizzle.
So I could go on. Looking on there.
Baffling people too much.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that watched it will remember it fondly, I think. But yeah, that's been taken off the air after all these years. But I didn't know it was still on, to be honest. So yeah, fond memories looking back on clips of that from YouTube from back in the day.
At the time of day before the sort of serious
sports coverage,
sports coverage came on at midday, or was it midday or was it 1? Something like that. It was midday, perhaps.
Yeah.
When serious commentators and the build up to the matches started to happen. But so it filled the gap. Yeah. By still being football related.
Yeah.
And they would get music guests on who were supporters of particular clubs and all that.
All that stuff. It was all done live. It was a bit chaotic. It was great. So, fond memories looking back on that. Great stuff. Yeah. That was before football was crap, before football was owned by billionaires. Yeah, but we won't go into that right now.
No.
So that's all I've got. I've got something I did write down on my list, but I crossed it out, so I didn't think we'd have time. But we've got a minute.
Okay.
I discovered Babycham. You remember Babycham? You remember Babycham?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Terrible stuff.
Well, what was it? Do you know what it was?
No.
Neither did I.
But it wasn't champagne.
It wasn't champagne. It wasn't made of babies. I thought it was sparkling wine, right? Just Prosecco, Asti, Spumante kind of budget champagne.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No.
Pear cider.
Was it really?
So I hear.
But it wasn't sold as that, obviously.
It was sold as Babycham.
Yeah.
It was cider, apparently.
Right.
I'm prepared to be proved wrong on that, but...
I wonder why that is.
Or I dreamed it.
Was it to be sort of more upmarket than... Oh, cider, that's boring, you know.
Well, I don't...
Whereas these days it's a sort of, It's a sort of
anyone can drink cider now. It's okay to drink cider, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. It's just what your nan used to have. It looks sophisticated. If you're lucky, you get it in a fancy glass. But it was pear cider apparently, unless I'm wrong on that one. And that also got me thinking about Kiora, the juice drink in the UK. Is that from New Zealand? Do you know
what?
Kiora, the orange juice drink? Is it a New Zealand import into the UK?
No. They just culturally misappropriated the name, I think.
I wonder why they did that.
And then attached non-Maori related.
Yeah, the advertising was pretty strong, wasn't it? But
not,
a crow.
But not anything to do with New Zealand. It was more about the Caribbean.
Yeah, I wonder why. Right, if anyone has a story of Kiora, I haven't looked this up. I just thought of it the other day and wrote it on my pad. Yeah.
Now you start to get me thinking now. Think of things that would be found in your grandparents' drinks cabinet.
Ah, beauty. Bols,
like Bols, pear flavored Bols. Blue stuff, blue curacao, or whatever.
De Kuiper, was it cherry brandy?
Advocaat. Anyone drink Advocaat?
I can tell you something about Advocaat. So at Christmas, my nan always would have a snowball, like Advocaat and lemonade. My sister would carry on that tradition, and when she had children, every Christmas morning, her children would be given a snowball. My sister had no idea it had alcohol in it. So her kids from 1 year on were given a snowball every Christmas. It wasn't until they were teenagers she found out it had alcohol in it.
Kept wondering why the kids went to sleep at midday every day. It's like
started fighting.
Why are they asleep?
So there you go, folks. Stuff you'd find in your grandparents' drinks cabinet.
There you go.
Mackerson stout.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean that was the thing. That was the thing to have if you needed a bit of a pick me up, as it were.
That's right. The doctors would tell you to go and have a stout,
or it made you forget about it, one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's all breathing techniques nowadays, isn't it?
Just right getting into it. We found over here a book just of health advice from those days, and it did include that for pregnant women to have.
A bottle of stout,
a glass of stout during the day, and also a relaxing cigarette. It's true. It was in there. You have a fag and a beer to relax you.
Well, it does relax you. I can vouch for that.
And the other one that also quite astonished us was giving baby a few teaspoons or tablespoons of orange juice. No.
Dip the dummy in the whiskey. That'll do it. Yeah.
No orange juice for the baby.
No,
don't do that.
Don't do that. So
yeah,
fascinating. Different times. You used to get asthma cigarettes, didn't you? On prescription, you could get asthma cigarettes back in the day.
Did you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Blimey.
Again, I may have dreamed that. So
what did they do?
They made you breathe better.
Did they?
In the short term.
How?
In the short term, possibly, yeah. They might have done. Warmed up your, what are they called?
Warmed up.
What your bits called inside your lungs?
Alveoli.
Cilia and alveoli. Yeah, alveoli. He used to play for Liverpool, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess
so. Yeah, so, asthma cigarettes. Yeah.
Get enough of this rubbish.
Enough of this
There
nonsense.
we go.
Yeah, right. I think we've done enough because it's all getting silly now.
Yeah, things next time. I'm definitely going to do the complete works, and I'm also going to talk about a bit of Shakespeare we went to see. I haven't quite got enough time to fit that one in, but we went to see King Lear.
Wow.
That's a long one.
Wow.
But I'll save that for next time around.
Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to work because cybercrime won't solve itself, to paraphrase Early Doors. So I better get back to work. Send stuff in. If you've got anything you think we might be interested in, send it to us, follow us, like us. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, Twitter, Instagram. All those things we'd like you to do for us would be nice. And tell your friends.
That's all we ask.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Say goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Captain.
See you later, folks.